2020, a year that many of us will probably look back on and wish never happened. It has been, you don't need to hear it from me, we're all living in it. But there has been some great music released this year. Many awesome reissues. Some of the best reissues I've ever bought came out in 2020, and a good 15 to 20 new records that I loved this year. So what I'm going to cover here is my top 10 of the year, plus my two favorite reissues of the year, and then the artists that I listened to most in 2020. And that's it. And we'll close. I forgot to grab, I seem to forget this from time to time, to grab a record that I wish more people knew about. So let's see if I can do one on the fly. Yeah, it looks like I can pull that off, so don't look. You probably already saw it, but I'll surprise you at the end if you didn't pick up on that the back jacket of that album. So top 10, starting at number 10. Number 10 is the Kevin Morby record, Sundowner. I have just started listening to this record quite a bit in the last few weeks. I will say, like every top 10 that I do every year, as the years pass, these records will completely change in terms of where they sit. This could end up being number one day. As I said on my last video, music takes me a long time to really appreciate an album. So this is just where these sit right now. So Kevin Morby, Sundowner. I was really looking forward to this record. I like it quite a bit. Campfire's great. Valley. He's such a good soul too. A very good person. I think he lives in Kansas City. And we'll see something from his partner, I believe, later in this list. But that is Kevin Morby at number 10. Number 9, another singer-songwriter that I love, Kenny Roby, formerly of Six String Drag. This is his 4th or 5th solo record, The Reservoir. I think I mentioned in an earlier video that he was scheduled to have this produced by the late Neil Casal, who passed away unexpectedly this year, and that was obviously scratched. He went on to record the record and dedicated it to Neil. And this is a really good record. History Lesson's a great song. Only Clown in Town. You Don't Know, Don't You Know What's on My Mind, which opens it, is a beautiful track. Has this nice gatefold. Kenny Roby is this phenomenal songwriter. Look up all of his records. Mercury's Blues is probably my favorite. But this is my number 9 of the year. Number 8 is another record that I've been listening to a lot lately. Will probably rise in the rankings as the months and years pass. This is the Phoebe Bridgers record, Punisher. I always forget the title. Some exceptional songs on this record. Garden Song's great. Kyoto is an awesome song. She's a great talent. One of the best young artists going right now. I think this is her 2nd record. I don't own her first one, but I'm going to give it a listen soon. But this is a fantastic record that I listen to quite a bit. And she has a really strong appreciation of kind of the history of music, and what a talent, and what a record. It's number 8. Number 7. This is a good friend of mine, Liz Pappademas. This is her 3rd solo record, I think. It's called Rock Record. Came out earlier this year. More people need to know about Liz. She makes fantastic music, and this, I think, is probably the best record she's ever put out. She was also in a band in the mid-2000s called Hurts to Purr. I met her at South by Southwest at a barbecue, became friends, did some work together, and this is just a fantastic record. You can find it at LizP, as in Peter, .bandcamp.com. My favorite track on the album is Real Life Bender. Garden Gate's a great one. Restless is great. Again, this is the best work she's done. Liz Pappademas. Check her out. You will not regret it. Number 6. Man, Liz is going to be pumped that she sits beside Bob Dylan. Rough and Rowdy Ways. I think this is Dylan's best record in, I don't know, since Time Out of Mind, maybe. Most of Dylan's sort of swooning, whatever you want to call it, sound of the last 20 years, it didn't do much for me, but this is the best of the bunch. His voice hasn't sounded this good in a decade plus. The music's great. Murder Most Foul, the first single, which I believe is like 15 minutes long, is just such a gorgeous song. I am not with the fanatics who think this is like one of the best Dylan records ever. It's not. But it is a very, very strong record, and one that I listen to quite a bit. I Contain Multitudes, False Prophet, just a great achievement for the best Dylan. So that puts us at number 5. A lot of singer-songwriters here. Can't go wrong ever with Bill Callahan. He puts out great records all the time. This is no exception. The record starts with him saying, "Hello, I'm Johnny Cash," a riff on the Folsom Prison Johnny Cash performance, and just another tremendous effort. Bill Callahan's records get better and better with each listen, and this is no exception. What a treat it is to be around when Bill Callahan is making records, or any of these people are making records. It's the greatest time ever to be a fan of music. I guess that will always be the case as the days and years pass, because the amount of unbelievable music out there is just staggering. I had a light work day yesterday and listened to records, I think, for about 10 hours. I recently, which you can probably see, the turntable is no longer in this room. I moved it to my living room. Best move I've made since I've lived in this home. I've been here for 3 years, and I now have an enormous stack of records in my living room because I just sat yesterday, texted with friends, and listened to records. And I remember when Wilco's manager, Tony Margarita, their longtime manager, retired maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think there was one interview with him where he was asked what he was going to do in retirement, and I believe his answer was just listen to music. I know that feeling. There's so much. There's so many records on there that I haven't listened to enough. So this party just keeps going on. Number 4 is a record that I just started listening to the last few weeks, and it's blowing me away. It is the latest from Run the Jewels. I've talked a little bit about hip-hop on this channel before, and how in the 80s and 90s, prior to me discovering sort of indie rock, hip-hop for a good 2 or 3 years when I was really into basketball was my thing. Eric B. and Rakim, Dougie Fresh was a favorite. Big Daddy Kane was a favorite, Public Enemy. And then I listened to some Nas and then sort of lost interest. Didn't listen much post, I don't know, 2000 or so. And I'm trying to get back into it. And these guys, man. Killer Mike, who we saw a lot on the in politics over the last few years, working with Bernie Sanders. I listened to this twice this morning just to get a better feel for it, and it is just a tremendous record. I need to get all of their material. Number 3 is a record that took me a while to get into. There was a few tracks that hit me right off the bat, and then I wasn't so sure about the rest, but it has really grown on me. Arguably my favorite artist going right now, Jason Isbell. His record Reunions, which unbelievably this cover came out prior to the pandemic. It is the pandemic, basically, or very representative of the sort of solitude of this year. Dreamsicle is probably my favorite song of the year. But even the songs that I wasn't crazy about, What Have I Done to Help, those songs have really grown on me. It Gets Easier, a track about addiction is phenomenal. There's lots of liner notes. Jason Isbell, he has not been able to match 2013 Southeastern, but I think all of his records are strong. They're all like a 4 out of 5 stars, whereas Southeastern was perfect. But he puts out records. I'm gonna buy them. They're gonna have great songs. He has such a massive collection of great tracks. What a songwriter. Number 3, that was. Number 2, I alluded to earlier. This is the Waxahatchee record. She, I believe, is dating or married to Kevin Morby. Katie Crutchfield, I think is. I may have that wrong. But this is just a remarkable record. I think amongst my friends, this is sort of the number 1 choice amongst people that I'm close to, the sort of universal pick as the best record of the year. It was my number 1 for a while, but it got bumped late. But all the songs on here are great. Oxbow, Can't Do Much, Fire, Lilacs, just an incredible achievement. If you haven't heard this record, please check it out. My second favorite record of the year. And that leads us to what is probably not a surprise. My favorite artist ever. I will now say I think this is his best record in 30 plus years. As Mazzy said, is that a Christmas album? It's not a Christmas album. Bruce Springsteen's Letter to You is my favorite record of the year. I never did I imagine that Bruce Springsteen would record another record this good. 1 minute you're here as an opener, I get chills just thinking about it. I'm going to listen to it right after I finish this video. Letter to You, which was the first track that they released on the record. I remember not being crazy about it. Now I love it. Burnin' Train's great. Janie Needs a Shooter, one of the best songs of the year. Power of Prayer, Rainmaker, Ghosts, I'll See You in My Dreams to close. Just a great, great record. I shared this record, the cover, on a different video, and a few people wrote me and said that I look like him. I don't think so. He's 72. 70, T-O-O, or 71. But, hey, say I look like Bruce, I'll take it. Just a fantastic collection of songs, and a record that will continue to move up my lists of favorites. It's just an outstanding record. So that's my top 10. There's a few that surprisingly weren't on here. The Bill Fay record is probably number 11, Countless Branches. Just missed the top 10. The Jeff Tweedy record, I like some of it, but I haven't honestly spent enough time with it, and it also is not out on vinyl yet. And then the Jayhawks record has some great songs, but the rest of the record I didn't really get that into, so it just missed making my list. Now to my favorite reissues of the year, and I'll start with number 2 out of 2 would be the Replacements box set, Pleased to Meet Me. There were a lot of great reissues this year, but the liner notes and the stories in this box set are just tremendous. And I kind of like how it's a mix of LP and CDs. Kind of have to put some effort into to getting through this. I have not finished all the interviews in here, but I will. But what I've read, just reflecting on this band, there's so much to them, and this is just very well done. I love all of the Replacements reissues. Keep them coming. And then, this is a heavy box set. I think a lot of people are going to come in saying this is the best reissue of the year. It's one of the best reissues ever. The 500-pound 9 LP version of Tom Petty's Wildflowers and All the Rest. The remaster of Wildflowers is the best sounding record I've ever heard. So the first record on here, which is just the record that came out in 94, I think it was 94. It is so clean and crisp. I've never heard a record sound like it does. I've listened to the live records. I haven't gotten into all the home recordings, but I will. This is just, there's a lot to this, but what a tremendous job Tom Petty and his camp, or Tom Petty's family, and Warner did on this. Just such a treat for the hardcore fans, and not even hardcore fans. Tom Petty's Wildflowers, it is really heavy. And now to the artists that I sort of listened to and appreciated the most this year, and it's really more so of 2 artists that I love that we lost. And one, this is the artist I would say almost certainly that I listened to the most this year, because I did not listen to his music all that much prior to this year. Right around when he got sick, I started diving in because a lot of my friends are huge fans. And this is John Prine. This is a box set that came out on Record Store Day. I think it came out Record Store Day. I think this is his first 4 records. I listened to the John Prine self-titled this morning. Just such a great record, and what a soul, what a good man by all accounts. I love this guy. This kid, Rhino put this out. Everything Rhino puts out, I buy. Almost everything. I think they put out something with White Snake. I didn't buy that one. But what a label, and what a discovery to finally dive into John Prine and learn about his magic. He's just a tremendous songwriter and talent who is very missed. And then last, I would say this is probably the artist passing that has impacted me the most in my life thus far. And this is Justin Townes Earle. This is the record Midnight at the Movies. He has 2 great records. This one and Harlem River Blues. I believe he was 38 when he passed away of an apparent overdose. He had very clear he was very open about his struggles with heroin and a variety of different substances over the years. And I love his music. I love his story. Maybe it's a relatable story. People with issues with their dads who are close to their mothers. I get it. So this is, I listened to so much Justin Townes Earl this year. On this record specifically, if you don't know his music, listen to the song Mama's Eyes. I own a guitar, and I can only play a couple songs, and I want to learn how to play that so I can sing it and put it on YouTube, which would be embarrassing. So Justin Townes Earl, that's 2020. A record I wish more people knew about. I may have already selected this one, but as you saw, I had to grab something quickly because I'd forgotten. This is the brilliant Wrens record, the Meadowlands, from New Jersey. This is a perfect record, 10.0 pitchfork scale. Came out in 2003. We have been waiting for the follow-up since. It's been 17 years. I think they're still working on it. But the Wrens, the Meadowlands is a top 10 record of all time for me. So if you do not know it, it is worth seeking out. I think the vinyl is hard to find, but it is, I'm pretty sure, on streaming services. I typically only listen to it on vinyl. But this is a masterpiece.